He buys a first-class ticket every day, yet he has never boarded a plane, instead sitting restlessly in the terminal watching television. At that moment, the TV host suddenly falls asleep and all the players on the field instantly collapse. Then he sees that airport security are all armed. He grabs one of their weapons and charges into the crowd. He doesn't harm anyone, just desperately runs toward the tarmac. The flight attendant crew, noticing the commotion outside, prepares to close the cabin door, but the man's machine gun gets wedged in the doorway. The flight attendant struggles with all her might to block him, but he easily breaks through. Seeing the armed man before them, passengers begin to panic. The man points his gun at the flight attendant, saying he's here to help, and tells her to close the door or her life will be in danger. The flight attendant has no choice but to comply. The man then heads straight to the cockpit with his gun, ordering the pilot to take off immediately. When the man isn't paying attention, the pilot grabs for the machine gun, trying to wrestle it away. Passengers sink into deep anxiety as the pilot in the cockpit covers his face in agony. The man urgently orders the pilot to take off, insisting they must leave before sunrise or everyone will die. The pilot says he can't fly the plane alone because his left hand is injured and he can't operate the controls. The other flight crew are still drinking coffee at the airport. At this point, a woman named Carter raises her hand, telling the man she's never flown a passenger plane, only helicopters. The man lets her into the cockpit, watching as the plane slowly begins to move. The co-pilot has never experienced anything like this and remains reluctant to take off. The man threatens the woman's life, and finally, with no other choice, the pilot requests takeoff clearance from the tower. Only then does he discover that the earlier gunshot damaged the tower's communication equipment. The man doesn't care about this. As the controls are pushed forward, he stares intently ahead until the plane slowly lifts off, finally allowing him to breathe a little easier. Why is the man so determined to fly west, claiming that sunrise means death? It turns out he's a NATO army major who accidentally overheard a high-level command meeting stating that the sun has mutated, and any living thing exposed to sunlight will instantly lose its life. So to survive, they can only head west to avoid the sun. The two don't believe such absurd claims, but the major stops explaining since the plane is now under his control. At this moment, the pilot's wound is causing unbearable pain, and without treatment, it will get worse. The major has no choice but to send Carter to find a doctor. There's no doctor in the cabin, only a veterinarian. Carter brings the veterinarian into the cockpit to bandage the pilot's wound while the major warns them not to try anything. Seeing his cover blown, the pilot has to compromise, but he has one condition. They can't tell the passengers about the sun mutation yet, or it will cause panic. After some thought, the major sees no harm in this and agrees. Following his demands, the pilot announces that their destination has changed to Iceland. The passengers are all confused, and the major doesn't explain much. However, a bearded man overhears his conversation with the pilot and asks the major what's going on with the sun. The major impatiently says he misheard, while other passengers dare not speak up because the man is armed. At this moment, a mother fearlessly stands up.